So we arrive in Kashmir, and Kashmir is this so-called violent place. And as I'm entering Kashmir, the security guys come to me and say, listen, we need to talk to you. So what do you need to say? And they say, well, look, the thing is, you can't walk in Kashmir, right? It's not a good idea. We're walking 3 days, and we're walking 3 days in the roughest districts. So you can't walk in Kashmir. It's a bad idea. So I'm like, why can't I walk in Kashmir? And they're like, well, because you'll get hand grenades thrown on you. So now I'm responsible for 120 people I'm working with, right? So I'm like, look, let me go and have a little word with them. And so I go and have a little word with them and say, look, they're telling us they're going to get hand grenades thrown at us. And they're like, okay. And I was like, frankly, I want to walk. I mean, if we get hand grenades, we get hand grenades. So they're like, yeah, we should all walk. And so we decided we're going to walk. And we start to walk. And suddenly what starts to happen is these Indian flags start coming everywhere, right? Everywhere, they just start coming out, right? The first day we're told about 2,000 people are going to show up, and 40,000 people show up, right? And that thing over there, when I'm sitting on that jeep, is because the police and security system just been overloaded, and it's collapsed, right? Because they can't manage the crowd. And fundamental, and goes back to the point I raised about India being a public good and being the biggest democracy in the world. We simply cannot afford a planet that doesn't produce under democratic conditions, okay? Because if democracies do not start producing again, right, they will not survive. Because the tensions that will arise inside the democracy, the inequality that will arise, the anger that will arise will just collapse the democracy. So what is required is new thinking about how you start to produce in a democratic environment, which is completely different than production in a coercive environment. In a coercive environment, what you're basically doing is a factory, a production unit has a huge amount of socio-political energy inside it. And what you're doing is you're forcing it closed inside the structure. You can't do that in a democracy. So that conversation between labor and capital has to happen, has to be a negotiation, right? And I think that's where a lot of the thinking has to happen. How do we start to produce again in a democratic environment, and how do we manage the negotiation between the structures in the factory so that they can happen in a democratic structure?
Welcome to K-Mall, a premium project by Kaleen Group. K-Mall is in the heart of Kolkata's electronic, garment and lifestyle hub, Khidirpur. K-Mall, which is designed as a world-class mall, is the outcome of endless effort of our experts, combined with modern superb techniques and new-age design. Book now